Story 1. Subscriptions. Everything that was once a one-time purchase has now become a monthly subscription. It feels like we're not allowed to own anything outright anymore. Story 2. I am totally disappointed with the trend of planned obsolescence in technology. Companies are making devices that intentionally slow down or break after a few years, so you have to buy a new one. That's it. Story 3. Posting the after picture to the left of the before picture. People do it for cheap engagement and views because they know a part of the conversation will be about how the pictures are out of order. Story 4. One trend that has really disappointed me is the rise of clickbait content, especially on social media and YouTube. It's like people are just throwing out the most outrageous headlines or thumbnails to get attention, but the actual content is super shallow or misleading. It's frustrating when it feels like the focus is more on the views and less on quality or authenticity. What do you think? Story 5. How difficult just playing a video game has become. When I was a kid, I could actually be playing a game within 2 minutes of opening it. Now, my boys spend half of Christmas just downloading whatever updates are necessary to get the game to a point where you can even start it. Then you need to wait forever for all the loading screens. Then you need to create an account to be able to log into the game, so they can charge you money later. Then you need to spend 20 to 30 minutes setting up the game. Then one day you can actually play a match after a 10-minute loading screen. At this point, I don't care about the graphics. I just want to pop in some old game and be able to enjoy it. Story 6. Minimizing the number of employees at stores, such as through self-checkout and others, so that CVS and Rite Aid locations, which used to have human interaction assistants, are now becoming depressing ghost towns that are slowly dying anyway. Story 7. One trend that has left me a bit disappointed is the constant push towards overcomplicating things that used to be simple. Like how tech products have become so feature-heavy that it is hard to find something that just works well without a million extras. Sometimes, I just wish for straightforward, reliable options without all the bells and whistles. Story 8. This is only my first attempt at the whole being an adult thing, but I remember working as a kid, even in challenging retail jobs, my bosses had principles. If I was doing something wrong, they'd pull me aside and show me the right way to do it. My coworkers now, we're in a career field, and my bosses are the perfect example of the Peter principle. They might have been good and effective at some point, but they've moved on to bigger responsibilities and paychecks, but their skills are subpar. They'll tell me what to do and give me assignments, but it's for the sake of giving me assignments. When I have a question or need an answer from them, they're at a loss. Story 9. The trend of responding with "it's not my job to educate you" when making a statement, especially opinions, and being challenged about it, especially when there is a lack of context or information that makes searching for it very difficult or impossible, appears to be prevalent. This approach seems like a very lazy way to justify your opinion and a clear violation of what a professor of mine once said. If you're making an argument, you'd better be prepared to defend it when challenged, no matter how obvious it may feel to you. Story 10. Reselling. No longer can I go to the thrift store and get a cheap shirt. Now, it's sorted by brand because of resellers. I can't own a house because they're not a home. They're an investment to flip. Can't sell something on Craigslist without 30 flippers offering you less than 20% of the list price. Story 11. The obsession with ultra-processed health foods. They're marketed as good for you, but they're often full of junk and don't actually help with real health. Story 12. Things that are supposed to bring us together keep driving us apart. From cell phones to the internet, it feels like every time I think something might kind of get us to talk with our neighbors a little more, share knowledge a little more, and be better neighbors to each other, it just ends up creating more isolation, more echo chambers, and more always online work mentality instead of people actually getting to be closer to each other. Story 13. Hypocrisy-based, poster-fueled, monetized hate trains for video games, TV, movies that desperately clutch at straws looking for their next headline or topic. I think right now there's one in gaming about how Sony's gaming division is in trouble. It's not. All the PC master race people are also criticizing Sony for releasing an overpriced console without a shred of self-awareness. That's going to fuel over 100 channels with content for the next week or two. Story 14. Wedding culture is getting out of control. As a guest, you are expected to shell out big bucks both for attending, including hotel expenses, and for the bachelor or bachelorette party, and a separate bridal shower and buying a gift from the registry. And more of these events are involving travel. Definitely an abuse of social norms to try and squeeze people like that. Story 15. Conspiracy theories. Yes, there are some conspiracies. Most things are just the result of the most likely explanations and people wanting to do the least work possible. Story 16. The existence of TikTok is making this already extremely stupid generation even dumber. People are literally killing themselves to make a 20-second video. It's pitiful. Story 17. An increasing number of places, including universities, no longer accept cash. This is also observed in Walmart self-checkout stations. Additionally, the absence of contact phone numbers on business websites for inquiries and the lack of accessibility for individuals with visual impairments on these websites are concerning. You would think that accessibility would be a significant topic of discussion in this era. Story 18. I am so over the whole fake deep Instagram captions trend. Like posting a picture with some super vague quote doesn't make you profound. Can we go back to just sharing cool stuff without the cringy overthinking? Story 19. I feel like I am on the very edge of the action, like I am live streaming something that's going to cut off any second. I can't get into anything written that way. Story 20. The neutral, no fun colors, or boring menswear palette trend applies to everything. Some examples. Cars pretty much only come in black, white, gray, and silver. Red and maybe dark blue are the only colors, and you'll have to pay extra and wait longer for them sometimes. The newest iPhone Pro comes in white, black, silver, and light neutral gold. Appliances come in black, white, or stainless steel. Story 21. Influencers who actually don't do anything significant to be considered as having made an outstanding influence or contribution. They lack education or years of experience in a specific field to educate others, nor do they have extraordinary tales of adventures to foreign lands or medicinal discoveries. They are merely women receiving an abundance of Botox, applying fake tanner, trying on different outfits as inspiration, and making paper crafts for holiday dinners. I remember reading and learning about amazing individuals who demonstrated groundbreaking bravery and performed acts in the name of their gender, their families, and their country. Now, we are merely surrounded by mindless makeup influencers. Story 22. In the 1940s, my grandparents went overseas to fight against the Nazis. They won. Nazism became incredibly unpopular. And now, for some reason, starting around 2016, there are way too many Nazis in America. That trend needs to end. Story 23. There was a time when I could buy a quality electric shaver that would still work via the mains once the battery was depleted. Now, most of these shavers have been phased out, meaning you have to throw the whole thing in the bin no matter how much you paid for it. Story 24. Sequels, prequels, remakes, and dramatizations of true stories make up the majority of the movies coming out these days. I'm so incredibly sick of it. I want to see original stories in film. Story 25. Pornhub receives 42 billion views each year, with studies indicating that 90% of the most popular titles feature violence against women. The average age of first pornography viewership ranges between 8 and 11 years old. Deaths by strangulation have increased by 90% in the last decade. Andrew Tate has accumulated more than 13 billion views. A woman with broken blood vessels in her eyes from being strangled garnered hundreds of thousands of likes on TikTok by bragging about being such a good submissive that she let her boyfriend choke her unconscious, then proceeded to have sex with her unconscious body. There are thousands of subreddits dedicated to the abuse of women, including one called Dead Eyes, where men derive pleasure from pornography featuring women being abused who appear as if they have lost the will to live. Other forums are dedicated to deriving pleasure from pictures, videos, and news stories of women raped in war, and those dedicated to true crime stories of women who were raped, mutilated, and murdered, among others. There have been instances of men seeking advice on how to abuse women, how to find women with mental health issues who will let them do anything, or travel to poor countries to take advantage of underage girls and trafficking victims. Some boast about buying an underage prostitute in Mexico and mock the way they cried, or post photos of a hole punched in a wall compared to a woman's body after abuse, images of naked women used as inanimate objects with men placing their feet or meal on her, and expressions of reluctance to raise a daughter, comparing a baby girl to a sex toy. In a study of 22,000 women, when the term rape was not used, 90% had experienced unwanted sex or sex acts. The sexual abuse of women is so normalized they do not even recognize it, and 51% of women have been sexually assaulted by a partner while asleep. An overwhelming number of women suffer health problems such as anal fissures, bowel injuries, and lack of control of bowel muscles resulting in colostomy bag usage due to rectal injuries, and strokes under the age of 30 caused by strangulation. More than 100,000 rape kits have gone untested in America alone. Over 270,000 women were reported missing in America in 2022. Story 26. Parents driving their kids to school is a trend that disappoints me. Districts are apparently so starved of funding that they cannot get enough buses, and walking or bicycling just does not happen anymore. Story 27. Piracy made the media industry consolidate into Netflix, but now it has gone back to more channels than before, so back to piracy. That's what my mate said. I don't pirate anything except the high seas. I'm drunk. I should go to bed. Story 28. Anti-vax nonsense, especially when promoted by the same people who take unregulated supplements or eat so much tuna fish that they get mercury poisoning. Looking at you, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. The tuna thing is especially hilarious because one thoroughly debunked anti-vax claim was that the super tiny amount of mercury that was used as a preservative in some vaccines was causing autism. There's more mercury in one tuna fish sandwich. Story 29. There are Nazis, again, somehow. Ted Danson should get an Oscar for expressing masterfully the utter disbelief and disappointment. I know it's a TV series, but still. Story 30. When someone, usually young, discovers a hack that is either really old and known or not very old and known, such as gardening, modesty, or check fraud. Story 31. Earbuds. Like the little individual things that completely don't fit into my ears and constantly want to get lost while I am living my life. Even worse are the ones fitting outside the ear, no thanks. I have this set of Bluetooth headphones with the neck piece, so basically earbuds connected with a thin shielded wire to a neckband. It lasts over 9 hours on a single charge, has good active noise cancellation that is adjustable, and is super easy to keep on without losing anything. I can easily take one of the earbuds out and have it dangle nearby if I want a bit more situational awareness, etc. Story 32. Renaming everything. I am so over it. People are randomly assigning definitions to old words, names, or actions. For instance, on TikTok right now, everyone is freaking out about white toenail polish. They are claiming it means that women are up for a certain sexual act. Never in the history of toenail polish has that been what white polish means. It is still not. But we have gotten a couple of people on TikTok running around talking down to everyone because they are acting like that is not what it means. Well, probably because it is not what it means. It is just freaking nail polish and white looks good in the summer. That is it. Laughing out loud. I remember when my daughter tried to tell me what ratchet means, so I handed her a ratchet. I think that is the day she realized that people just make stuff up. Laughing out loud. Story 33. Climate change in action. Everyone applauding the Paris Agreement as if it quite accomplished something. Now, 10 years later, what have we truly achieved? Are bottle caps now attached? Story 34. Online communities that enable and encourage harmful, toxic, self-destructive behavior and convince people with mental illnesses that they are fine and it's society that's wrong. This includes forums promoting problematic content related to eating disorders and platforms discussing gang stalking theories and substance misuse. Story 35. Sure, here's the revised text with corrections. Anything involving TikTok, I'd wager 95% of trends from there are either crimes, can or will injure or kill you or others, or are just plain cringe or brain cell killers.